I would like to thank you all for attending this lecture and supporting me. I extend a special welcome to those joining us online. I understand in Indonesia is now about 10 p.m. 10 p.m. And this is not about watching Arsenal against Liverpool. Right? I really appreciate that. So I want to begin today by showing you a book. Yeah? This is a book. How many of you recognize this book? My father loved these books, and I know this book since I was a little. And at the time when I know what this book is about. As a child, I often open its pages, though of course I don't understand anything about it. Yes, this was the very first place where I discovered a place called Lancaster. That is the book. This book was written by Professor Kotsoyanis during her time at Lancaster University. Remarkably, the preface was written by Professor Sir Charles Carter, the namesake of the Charles Carter building where my own office was located years later. In a way, my journey here was mapped out in those pages long before I could even read them. So this book was my first encounter with Lancaster. So I know the word Lancaster since I was like 10 years old. Amazing, right? Yeah. Oh, that's true. No, I don't give the economic attention. I just know Lancaster. So, yeah, my dad used this book when he studied economics at Gajah Mada University. Yeah. So, decades later, after moving from places to places, my journey brought me back to the same very place. It was here, working at Lancaster Uni, that I wrote my own book. Just as Professor Kotsoyanis found her academic home in these halls to produce her foundational work, I discovered my focus and the supportive environment here to produce my own. It took me approximately 4 years. So the project started when the COVID began. So this is the book, in case you want to buy it. And this is the hard copy, 150. This is 45s. So this is the book. And there is a chess knight here. Yeah, so I will talk also about chess later on. This book documents the teaching material I delivered in a quantitative research module for MSc students in the Advanced Marketing Management program. I have been teaching this module since I joined the university in 2010 because nobody wants to teach it, right, Alan? It also includes additional material beyond the scope of this module. For example, this one. It's a bit technical. One of the chapters of my book is dedicated to endogeneity, a topic born from a research paper I published in the Quantitative Method for Psychology. This is a pedagogical journal. In simple terms, endogeneity occurs when our independent variables are actually correlated with the error term. If we ignore it, our statistical conclusions are essentially misleading. It is one of the hardest problems in marketing and psychological research. I'm currently applying this rigorous test in my work to test the relationship between place attachment and pro-environmental behavior. I will speak about more on place attachment later on. We have to ask, is it the place attachment that drives the behavior, or is there any omitted variables related to personality that actually contribute to PEB? So in that case, we might be overestimating the power of place. Another one here, detecting endogeneity is only half of the battle. We must also be cautious of spurious moderations. It's a bit technical, so I don't want to explain that in detail. Or when we observe a variable in our model interacting with another variable, but we might be witnessing a ghost effect. These efforts have led to 2 publications, one of which I co-author with Brian. Brian is joining us online. After countless hours spent sitting in Costa Coffee, I think 5 years we've been sitting there. Yes, 5 years, and then we suffered from so many iterations, so many rejections, but eventually after 5 years, it get published in the Journal of Business Research. And my students that take my quantitative module also know that I'm fond of speaking about the heteroscedasticity. So the first thing I said to my student, you need to learn how to pronounce that before we continue the lecture, heteroscedasticity. Yeah, so this is a kind of software that a student can install. So my idea was that time, so I want the student to get the impression that they learn from the first hand instead of watching YouTube after my lecture. That's my idea before. Before I could find my place here at Lancaster, I have to go back to the beginning of my coordinates to my undergraduate years. There, I graduated from Bandung Institute of Technology in Bandung, where our branch is located now, and got my BSc degree in environmental engineering, not in marketing. So my thesis wasn't about brands or consumer behavior, not marketing strategy. It was about predicting soil sedimentation due to erosion. And while the place was different, my focus was the same. I was learning how to create and test a model. This modeling mindset stayed with me for years. But actually, during my UG years, I was not study-oriented at all. I spent more time in Minangkabau Student Society. I was the chairman for 1 year, general secretary for 1 year. Spent more time also with my friend, my classmate at the environmental engineering department. So I was not study-oriented. I never go to a library, so I was not a good student. Yeah. And then the crew that you saw there, that was my first performance in 1992. So that was that theoretical performance, that my first performance in ITB. And all the crew were actually online. So thanks, guys, for attending my lecture. And then in the final year of my undergraduate studies, I took a study break that changed my perspective forever. I was selected by the Indonesian government to participate in youth exchange program representing West Java. West Java. I'm not a Javanese, but they chose me. I'm from Minangkabau, I'm West Sumatra. That's really remarkable why they chose me. I don't know until now. I gained cross-cultural experience across 2 different worlds, Canada and Aceh in Indonesia. I danced a lot during the program, as you can see from the picture, Mary. Yes. In Canada, in a village called Gori, Ontario province, I served as farmer. So every Thursday, I went to Kitchener-Waterloo to drop vegetables. So I was a farmer in Canada. In West Aceh, a second part of the program, I served as a teacher in a rural village called Loh Malay. It was hit by the tsunami. It was here that place stopped being a set of engineering data points, like the water set modeling that you saw in my previous lecture, and started being about community and the human experience. This was perhaps my first real lesson in marketing, learning how to connect with people across cultures and environments. So my first time to go abroad was during this program. My first time also to go on a plane. Yeah. And returning from the rural village of Aceh, I knew my place was changing after graduation. I started applying for a job, but I knew I preferred to study. I don't consider myself as a nerd, but I just like to study. I participated in a rigorous bridging program in mathematics at ITB. I really wanted to learn math at the time because in environmental engineering, not so much math. So this effort opened a new door. I was selected for a scholarship from Twente University in the Netherlands to pursue my master's degree, not in environmental engineering, but in engineering mathematics, with a specialization in statistics and operation research. To be honest, I wasn't sure at first whether I would accept that offer. I didn't feel ready to make that big leap to marketing. But the director of the program, Professor Robert K. Sembiring, a well-known Indonesian statistician, challenged me. This is what he said to me. If you were an ITB student, you can do it. That's the mindset of the ITB professor. So I accepted the challenge and moved to the Netherlands to study math. I was with the classmate that took a degree in electrical engineering, math, mechanical engineering. I'm from environmental engineering that know a little bit of math. I don't even know what matrices and factors there. That's the situation I had, really. I wrote my MSc thesis on queuing networks under the supervision of Professor Robert van der Meij, who is now at the Centrum voor Wiskunde en Informatiek in Amsterdam. At the time, Rob just come back from AT&T in the US. So if my time in Bandung was about Earth, my time in Netherlands was about the system, but both were about modeling. So I think this is just a modeling. So that's my key learning point that I take from these two experiences. Now I did PhD in marketing. So after the learning how to model this natural system and modeling queuing system, I began to wonder if I could learn something about modeling human behavior that is even more unpredictable. So I predict that you all come here on time, but you're not. So that's the example. That search for a new place led me finally toward my PhD. I wrote my PhD in marketing at Maastricht University under the supervision of Professor Code Ruyter, who is now at King's College. College London, and Professor Martin Welser at HEC Paris on regulatory focus theory. After Maastricht, I went to Malaysia. That was my first employment at Nottingham Business School. Why I went there is because my wife said we have to go back, but I don't want to go back to Indonesia, just close to Indonesia, and then to Malaysia. And after 6 months, I don't like to live in here, let's go back to Europe. So as someone from matriarchal society, ladies is the boss, so I just follow. So I can't resist that. So let's go back. So so we end up in the Nottingham Newcastle Business School in Northumbria in Newcastle. So now let's talk about my academic journey, more serious stuff. My works have evolved across three major landscapes of thought, each bringing me closer to the intersection of data and consumer behaviors. First, regulatory focus theory. That's the way I started. I studied that during my PhD. This is the theory about motivational behavior that drive consumer decision. And the second is the place attachment theory, where I moved to the relational, how we connect to the places around us, which has been a recurring theme of my research for the past few years. Both are psychological construct, which is the latent concept, the concept that you cannot directly observe. Like satisfaction is a psychological construct. You can't see from people's face to what extent that they are satisfied with something. You have to measure it. That's what I meant by psychological construct. And the third one, this is the new door, my new adventure. I don't know at what place that I will end up with, natural language processing. And now I'm looking at the digital using AI to see if we can map this human psychological construct to what we use. Now I'm going to speak about what regulatory focus theory is. So there will be no exam, so I'm sure that. So the first landscape I explored was regulatory focus theory, formulated by Thorny Higgins from Columbia University. He published a seminal paper, Beyond Pleasure and Pain, at American Psychologist. And what this theory moved beyond the hedonic principle that we know. People are motivated to approach pleasure and approach pain. So the regulatory focus theory offers an explanation how people approach pleasure and avoid pain. The emphasis of the theory is on the how. Take a chess player. Now come to chess. We know that they are motivated to win and avoid losing. That seems straightforward, right? But what I wanted to know is the mechanism behind that. Not all wins are pursued in the same way, and not all losses are avoided with the same mindset. This theory suggests that there are two distinct ways to pursue this goal. One player might play aggressively, searching for every promotion opportunity to win. Another player might play cautiously, preventing any error that leads to a loss. So my work was to build a model that could distinguish between these two internal orientation. So on one hand, we have this Michael Toll here. Maya knows these two individuals. Maya is just player sitting in the audience. So Tal always plays aggressively. His style was the definition of promotion focus. He play aggressively, striving for success by creating complication. In marketing term, this is the consumer who tries a new product because they are excited by the potential benefit. On the other hand, we have another world champion from the past called Tigran Petrosian, Iron Tigran, that's what people call him. He aligns perfectly with a prevention focus. He played cautiously, prioritizing safety and the absence of mistake. His goal was to avoid the loss. So this is the consumer who stick to a trusted brand because they want to minimize the risk of a bad experience. But knowing a person focus, whether they are Tal or Petrosian, is only half the story. The next place of my research took me was into regulatory fit theory, which is the extension of regulatory focus theory. This is about the match between the person or motivational orientation and the strategy that he or she uses. We say fit occurs when promotion is compatible with eager strategy and prevention focus is compatible with vigilant strategy. What's so interesting about this story is that when there is a fit, it creates a sense of feeling right. You feel that you are right. It's a sense of feeling right. In our chess world, if you are a promotion-focused player, you always try to win in a sub-tactical game where risk leads to big rewards. However, if you force that same aggressive player into a slow, grinding, error-avoidant game, they lose their fit, and their performance often suffers. Conversely, the prevention-focused player excel at solid positional play, but when you push them to play in a risky way, that doesn't create a fit. It doesn't feel right about playing that. Now, you might wonder, what does a grandmaster chess style have to do with marketing? The answer lies in how we perceive value. In this series of paper, as you can see from the slide, we look at how fit changes the way people value something as complex and essential as health insurance. That was the first paper published in 2010 with my supervisors. We found that when a policy, insurance policy, is positioned with a gain frame, for instance, focusing on getting a discount, it became significantly more compelling to consumers with promotion concern. For them, fit creates a sense of engagement. They feel they are gaining an advantage, much like Michael Toll seizing an opportunity on the chessboard. Conversely, a loss frame positioning, such as focusing on avoiding cost sharing or unexpected out-of-pocket expenses, is far more effective for those with prevention concern. These consumers are looking for safety and the absence of mistake. Similar to Tigran Petrosian defensive solidity, when the message addresses their specific need for security, the perceived value of their policy decreases. So this isn't just about selling insurance. It is about understanding that value is not a fixed number. Value is a psychological outcome of the fit between the message and the mindset. So this was one of the first major steps in my academic journey after my PhD. Now, the second half of my talk, I'm going to talk about this topic. So I took a turn toward a new frontier. I began to ask, if we are in search of places, can we use AI to understand our deepest emotion? Can we use AI to understand our emotional bone? Can language AI detect human psychological construct from text? We know AI can summarize a meeting or write an email, but can it detect the subtle, invisible thread of human psychology? To this test, we turn to a concept called place attachment, which I've been familiar with for quite some years now. This is the emotional bond we feel toward a specific place. We want to see if we could extract this deeply human feeling from something as common as online reviews. Can we use AI to extract whether people are attached to something? That's the essence. So this is an ongoing work. My co-author will present this in the Frontiers in Services Conference in June 2026. Now, let's pause a while. Think about the last time you reviewed a cafe online. What did you write? Now look at these two reviews. On the surveys, they are both 5-star ratings for the same cafe. But they might tell two very different stories. As you can see, the first one reads, "This cafe feels like home. I could sit here all day." So the word home. Maybe this is a place attachment. And the second one, good space, Wi-Fi, fast, staff-friendly. So the person is not just buying coffee in the first example. They are experiencing a sense of belonging or attachment. So our research asks this question: can language AI tell the difference between these two reviews? The answer, as we discovered in my research, is resounding yes, but with some fascinating nuances that I will like to share. So why this matters? For business, you have 500 reviews. Which customer are just satisfied customer? Which ones have formed an emotional bond with your space? You probably would like to see this answer. So I hope my method help businesses distinguish transactional feedback from relational loyalty, so they know what they are actually building. If all your reviews are practical and none are effective, you have customer, not a community. If someone else make a better coffee, you lose them. Yeah. Why this matter again? So that is from public decision makers. Sorry, Maya, I took your picture there without your permission. When residents say they love a chess club, do they mean it as a nice chessboard? Practical, or this is where our community gathers? Also, Iman, you saw your picture there, right? So, yes. So this is the chess club that I run every Saturday from 10 to 12 in the Lancaster Library Chess Club. So it's been going on nearly 3 years. Yeah, I nearly missed Saturday. So after that, I'm fatigued. Sometimes I play 7 people same time. For Maya, I play 1 game, then I fatigue immediately. From a scientific relevant, this is the serious thing, from scientific point of view, we would like to answer these 2 questions. Can place attachment be detected by language AI through naturally occurring text rather than using a psychometric measure? And the second thing, can language model understand something fundamental about human experience, the difference between using a place and being in a place? So what is the psychometric measure? This is how people measure place attachment in quantitative empirical research. You fill in the questionnaire and you are presented with a series of questions, and the response answer is usually Likert scale from 1 to 7. I'm very attached to this cafe. I'm very strong a sense of belonging to this cafe. This cafe means a lot to me. It is a powerful method, but can't suffer from method bias. I know that, sometimes we feel we are fatigued and we just like jotted down our answer, yes, 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 no, no, at the same point, 7, 7, 7, 7. That's a kind of method bias. Yeah, you don't look at the questionnaire, you just want to please the researchers, you just put 1, 2, or even randomly. That's a kind of method bias. People don't pay attention seriously. And also, a survey cannot account for cultural or contextual difference. So who introduced me to place attachment? So I blame these 2 researchers. Actually, I want to acknowledge them. Dr. Zaining Song, I don't know whether she's joining us today, and Professor Didier Supramanian. Zaining visited me in 2015. She was doing a postdoc with me, and now she's at Beijing Foreign Studies University. Also Didier from our college used to work here with us at the Management Science, LUMS. Now he is also at the Beijing Foreign Studies University. When they invited me to work on place attachment, I said no, because that's not marketing. And then after that, they publish some paper, and then they just come back again to me asking me whether I can join. And I say, okay, yes. But with a promise, we're not going to publish one paper because it's just an opportunistic behavior. So this is my rule. So if we venture to a new topic, at least we have to publish 2 or 3 papers to build our more knowledge identity in there. So just one and move on to the other topic. I said I don't really. I'm not really interested in that kind of jumping around. So, because sometimes you are fascinated with the topic and you want to explore more. So with them, we publish some papers on place attachments. So what is place attachment? So the study of place attachment is quite old, dated since 1977. It started with thinkers like Yi Fu Tuan in 1974, who coined the term topophilia, which is defined as an affective bonds between people and place. And Lowe and Altman in 1992 introduced the 3 components of place attachment: affective, cognitive, and the behavioral component of place attachment. The Mandarin framework, in 2011, Lewicka published the first systematic literary reviews on place attachment. And in 2010, 1 year before that, Scannell and Gifford come out with a new conceptualization of place attachment, what they call it a 3-partite model of place attachment. And then in 2013, Ramkisson and her colleagues published a paper that introduced the 4-dimensional construct of a place attachment that consists of place affect, sense of belonging, place dependent, and place identity as a 4-dimension. In 2021, Zenning and I published a paper, the first quantitative systematic review on the effect of place attachment on PEB. So no, place attachment is not necessarily affecting PEB, that's what we found, but I'm not going to into more depth on that. So now about the AI. So what the AI now? So I said before that we want to detect whether AI, we want to learn whether AI can detect place attachment. So what kind of method we use? We used this method called the zero-shot classification task. To understand why our method can work, let's look at how AI has traditionally been trained. I made a silly mistake in the process of learning this. In supervised classifications, the image on the right, you have to feed the model thousands of examples that have already been labeled by human. So you call them, this is place attachment, this is practical review, and then the model looks for mathematical pattern, update its parameter, and eventually learn to predict. It is accurate, but it is slow, expensive, and limited only to what you have already taught it. I try myself doing this way because I thought I understand it, but I don't. So I asked ChatGPT to generate 5,000 reviews. And then I asked ChatGPT to call it 0 and 1. And then I used zero-shot. Of course, 5,000 is nothing. To train a model, you need millions. That's the first mistake. So even though I'm a professor, I know nothing about this one. I'm newbie. So that's the first lesson. So professor is not everything. So when you learn new thing, you start the process of learning again. Yeah. So it cannot be generalized. So we took a different path, the zero classification task. We used a pre-trained large language model that already understands the complexity of human language. Instead of training it on a specific data set, we give it a hypothesis template. And the most important thing, the semantic definition. We ask the AI, does this text demonstrate place attachment or the practical aspect of a place? So how it works? This is how it works. The AI performs what we call natural language inference. It compares the review against those 2 hypotheses, hypothesis A or hypothesis B. It doesn't need to see millions of examples first. It uses its understanding of human sentiment to make a choice. This would allow us to scale our research to millions of reviews instantly without the bottleneck of manual labeling. So the zero-shot classification model typically works by framing the tag as NLI, natural language inference. The model is given a premise, a text, like what you saw on my slide. Staff are super friendly, food and cafe are excellent. I love this cafe. And it then calculates the probability of entailment. So this is a probability model. The output of the model is confidence score, it's probability score, ranging from 0 to 1. 0, not confident, 100% means totally confident. Now, choosing the model, one of you might ask me why not using ChatGPT anyway. ChatGPT is a generative model. So there are two types of model, generative model and representation model. ChatGPT is generative model, it's designed to talk. But I use another model called representation model, and there are many of them, and one of the best is DEBERTA, stands for Decoding Enhanced Bird with Distangled Attention. Took me a while to remember this. DEBERTA was designed for text understanding, not text generation. It excels at natural language inference, which is the technical foundation of the zero shot. DEBERTA is significantly more efficient for zero shot because it was trained to do so. Now you might be wondering why I have Optimus Prime. Why not Bumblebee? It is because technically speaking, DEBERTA is a transformer model. In AI, transformer is not a robot from outer space. It is a specific neural network architecture. The transformer architecture was introduced in the paper Attention is All You Need by Vaswani in 2017. It revolutionized the field because it uses a mechanism called self-attention. Instead of reading a sentence word by word from left to right, it looks at the entire sentence at once and weighs the importance of every word in relation to every other word. Now, what is the challenge in doing this work? The challenge is finding the semantic definition. But in place attachment is quite clear and easy because the literature is quite clear on the definition. For the place attachment, I use this definition where reviewer has an emotional bond with this cafe. And then for the practical review, the semantic definition that we use, reviewer evaluate food, drink, service, amenity of practical detail of this cafe. So why this semantic definition is important? Because it specifies the meaning of place attachment. We tell the AI, this is the meaning. This is what you need to look for, right? How good about this definition? So I did a pilot test with these six reviews. The cafe feels like home. The engine gave me 64%. That this is place attachment. Yeah, so it is called place attachment. And the open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is 6%. So it's not place attachment, it's practical because 6% is really low for the place attachment. And the toilet is clean, 28 is practical. The cafe is good, I love this cafe, 63%. So this is attachment. Anything bigger than 50% is place attachment. I love this cafe, the cafe is good, 49, and practical. This is what stunned me. Last one, this cafe was just a couple of blocks away. It's only like 3%, which is practical. Look at the red ones here. I expect that the result will be the same because you just change the order. The coffee is good. I love this cafe. I love this cafe. The coffee is good. So not so pleasing. Yeah. To understand this more, I'm back to my favorite game, chess. So this is something that I don't really understand. So let's do a chess test. And so I don't provide the engine with any definition. And then I use this tag. Just Volker Sindarov wins the 2026 FIDE candidate. So I asked the AI, how would you classify this into politics, sport, music, or cooking? And the AI gave 81% politics. Right? Javik Sindarov is 20 years old. Last week, he won the FIDE candidates. Why politics? Because the model was trained with a lot of word candidates, and normally candidates appear in political news. So that's why. And then I put chess, and suddenly the result is different. Now chess is considered as a sport. There is a huge debate whether chess is a sport or not. Now look at that, it's a sport. 82% is classified as a sport. Now I play around with it. What about if I put the word cook? This verification of cooks their opponent pieces to win the 2026 FIDE candidate. Suddenly, the AI told me, this is not about sport, this is not about politics, it's about cooking. Yeah? We know this is about chess. We humans know that this is about chess, but the AI told us that this is about cooking. Nearly 77% AI tell us this is about cooking. That's what I learned. So I thought that we have to refine the new definition. So we tweak the definition. So the place attachment, we leave it as it is, but in the practical review, I put a new expression without expressing affection for the café. So suddenly the Berta produced different result. This café feels like home, nearly 100% it is attachment, according to De Berta. Open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 42, about 50-50. And maybe the De Berta think when it is open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., maybe this is convenient. Convenient is a positive emotion. That's why, it got like higher score, 42%. But because we work on the rule, De Berta work on the rule 50-50, so it is practical. And the toilet is clean, 49, practical. Because maybe, if the toilet is clean, you feel good. It's convenient too. And the cafe is good. I love this cafe. And next one, I love this cafe. The coffee is good. So we have a consistent output there, 100% and 99%. And then the last one, the cafe was just a couple of blocks away. Surprisingly, no, I think I expected it's only like 3%. So it is classified as practical. So that's the refinement we did. So how do we know that this is like good? We humans have to step in. So I asked human coder, which is my co-author Zening. I don't tell Zening that this is the review. So Zening saw the review for the first time. I asked her to classify. So 193 reviews. So I asked Zening to classify each of the review into attachment or practical. So quite daunting task. So this is the result. How to understand that metric? Let's read the first sentence there. Out of all the people who truly felt an emotional bond, how many did the AI actually manage to find? We are looking at the human attachment 3 and 45. Yeah, 45 divided by 48, that means 74%. So this is the performance metrics of the model. It's called recall. Yeah, AI caught 45 of them. It only missed 3 reviews. So when it comes to when the AI claimed it found place attachment, we look at this quadrant. How often actually there? We look at the false positive and true positive. The precision is 44%. So that means it's only right about half the time compared to the human. Then what about the accuracy? When we speak about the accuracy, we look at the true negative 45. So this is the hit. Yeah, the true negative correctly predicted as practical 7, and the true positive 45. It's 46%. The AI got it right 50% of the time. So there is one metrics that provides a balance between recalls and precision, which is called the F1 score. This is called the mean, but the harmonic mean. I'll calculate this. The F1 score is 69%. So normal cutoff, when the model is considered as good, the F1 score is about 70%. So looking at recall and 51%, 69%, I thought this is a kind of sound result. Remember that the AI was not trained. The AI was trained with something else, and then we give the definition, place attachment and practical. So I think this is quite good, I think, because they are not, it is not trained. Now, we have cafe reviews, and we are wondering whether we got the same result if we have another reviews. So we use the same procedures. Now this time we use hotel reviews, 100 hotel reviews, because we want to make sure that our approach was that we are not just lucky having that number. So we test it against a different domain. So the result is quite identical, and then in fact we have a jump in the accuracy from 56% to 56 to 68%, which is quite good. So this is what we think why we have a different result, and because in the cafe reviews, the reviews are usually short, like the cafe is good, I love this cafe. But in hotel reviews, there are more dimensions in hotel. There are more amenities in hotel. In the reviews in the hotel, usually very long compared to the cafe. So in that case, hotel reviews tend to be longer and more descriptive. With more words to analyze, the AI is more evident to distinguish between I like the bed and I feel so at home here, attachment. Now there is an elephant in the room. So actually we asked two human experts, right? We asked human expert. I asked my former PhD student to classify the hotel reviews, to classify the 100 hotel reviews into practicals or place attachments. Human actually agreed 54% of the time. So the human results are quite messy. Coder 2 is more experienced than Coder 1 is more experienced than Coder 2, because Coder 1 is my co-author and published place attachment. Coder 2 is a junior. And we see that they don't agree each other, where we know that Coder 1 versus the AI agreed 68% of the time. So AI is more consistent with the first expert, but less consistent with the second expert. And then these two humans, they even don't agree each other. They don't even agree each other. So what's next? Let's do the real test. Because in the beginning I said, there is a method to measure place attachment with survey. And we have a new method to look at the reviews. So this is what we did. Zening collected data, 300s, with using 300 respondents. So respondents were asked to fill in a survey. So this respondent fill in a series of statements to measure their place attachment. I love this cafe, I like this cafe, blah, blah, blah. So you put a score. So that allows us to calculate the place attachment rating. That's what we did. And then we asked the respondent to write a review about the cafe that they visited last. So what do you think about the cafe that you visited? And then how attached you are to this cafe. And this is what we found. Really, really surprising and in a positive way, really good result. If you look at the graph on the left in the blue, we see the reviews, the AI label as practical. And not that the human scores here are lower, clustering around 2 on a 7-point scale. On the right, in gold, we see the place attachment label. Look at that shift. The human behind this review self-reported a much higher emotional bone, with the median jumping toward 4. So there is a statistical difference between these two groups. So that means the zero-shot classification method can be validated by the survey method. So probably we don't need to use the place attachment measure anymore. We can just ask people to write in words, what do you think about a place? Instead of measuring them, I like the place, I love this place. So instead of that, just ask them to write what they think about a place. That is the conclusion that we gather. So what is the takeaway of my talk? It's quite simple. With the right semantic definition and hypothesis template, the zero-shot technique can detect a human psychological construct from text. So our approach, we hope, bridges the gap between traditional psychological measurement and modern big data. This is your homework. Your turn now. Look at that review. Really glad that I happened to find this cafe. Is this practical or emotional one? Ratka, first shot. Yes. So, emotional. I believe that I happened to find this cafe. Greg, give a shot.
I would like to know how many times this person attended this cafe before making such a statement. If more than one, then I would feel emotional. If one,
Yeah.
I'd like to know having children going to cities, putting children in the loo, or do you like?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting, Alan. So this one here, it could be practical too, right? I'm really glad that I happened to find this cafe because maybe the cafe is not so far from where you live, right? It's practical. And I actually fit into the Berta model. It's really high score in place attachment. So Ratka, you are right. Yes. Yeah. And last but not least, okay, so I would like to say two words about this, working alongside my colleagues, Dr. Hina Khan, who is in the room, and then Dr. Iman Gadada, and supported by the British Council. We have developed a 6-month program here at Lancaster. Our goal is simple yet ambitious, to equip the next generation with the high-level green skill and employability they need to learn in a sustainable economy. This project resonates with the theme of my talk today, search for place, as we are helping young people to find their place in the future workforce, ensuring that their attachment to the environment is matched by the technical skills to protect it. That's the end of my lecture. And Allah sampai ikap gezegd, that's from Netherlands. And thank you. Allah sampai is that's Minangkabau words. Yeah. Thank you.